After a year where it seemed everything was canceled, planning is well underway for the first two summer festivals in the North Metro. As Mike Johnson reports, the Blaine Festival and Tower Days in Spring Lake Park may be adjusted a bit, but the traditions will go on.
There will be food, music, and fun at this year's Tower Days Festival in Spring Lake Park, but things will be modified to follow COVID guidelines on outdoor gatherings. Better than last year when this event and others didn't happen.
Obviously, we weren't able to do anything last year. We are generally the first festival of the season. So we were very tentative going into this and how we were going to proceed, but we think we've come up with a safe plan to offer some events. They're going to be different this year, but again, some events for the families to get out and enjoy.
Kay Oki chairs the Tower Days Committee and says planning has been more difficult this year. For instance, the event normally runs continuously. The Lumberjack Show might be staged 3 times a day. This year, events will be staggered with just one Lumberjack Show and then emptying the park before the next event.
This year, so that we can control the crowds, monitor social distancing better, we are offering a one-time Lumberjack Show at 3 o'clock for an hour and a half. So people will come to that event, enjoy the Lumberjack Show, enjoy some food from the food truck, and then go ahead and disperse the park.
Officials are worried about keeping proper distance when people are milling about. That means there will be no craft and business fair this year and no parade.
But again, due to the social distancing and crowd control, we are not going to be able to offer that parade. So that's a big loss to the community.
Also, no softball tournament. Many teams would come from out of state, and that's not recommended. In its place, there will be a new distanced 5K run. The car show is moving to the VFW, and a drive-in movie will be held at Spring Lake Park High School. Pre-registration is requested so they can limit the number of people at an event to 250, but that could change for the better.
Hopefully that rule will change by the time we get to June, and that we won't have to worry about the size of the crowd.
In Blaine, planning is also moving forward for the 51st Blaine Festival.
Based on guidelines for COVID, we have cut back on a few things, but we're still planning to move ahead with the festival.
Kat Smith says some of the planning from last year's canceled event worked for this year. For example, all but one of the bands booked last year will be back, but they will scale back in other ways.
Like there'll be less craft or business vendors so they can be spaced further apart. There'll be less food vendors because we're spacing out.
One thing they are planning on is a parade. They're counting on the rules changing to allow it.
So we have our applications up for the parade. The parade planning is in process. So we're hopeful that guidelines change enough that the parade will go on, but we are definitely planning on it.
The Blaine Festival is known for drawing 10,000 people over a weekend, and Smith is hoping for another big crowd after last year's cancellation.
Once something goes away, when it comes back, it's tough to get those people back in there again. So we are going forward, and we're assuming that we're going to have a good turnout.
For North Metro TV News, I'm Mike Johnson reporting.
The Blaine Festival will begin June 25th. Spring Lake Park's Tower Days kicks off the festival season on June 10th.